It would seem as though.
And here we are for another week of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
Mostly nothing.
Also, it's spring break.
It is spring break. But so today we're going to talk about something. Certainly not nothing.
No, not
And I'm Vesta.
And I'm Annika.
And right off the top of the show, I want to actually do a little housekeeping kind of business.
Okay.
I've had several people this last week telling me they've had trouble listening to the podcast because they click on the link that I put on Facebook or Twitter, and it just gives you kind of the episode to listen to, but not through a podcasting app. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is you'll be listening and it'll just shut off, and then when you go to start it, it starts at the beginning again.
Okay.
So first and foremost, download any podcasting app of your choice.
Right.
We're on almost all of them.
Spotify, girl. I found us on Spotify, which is what I have.
Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Stitcher, Spreaker, all those. And we do this through Spreaker, so go to Spreaker. And whatever, they all work. They all upload us pretty fast, but get your app, search us out, subscribe, and then it'll be in your little thing. You'll get a notification every week that when it shows up.
Yep. And
then you can listen and like and subscribe and share it with your friends.
And if you need to pause it and leave, it'll just start you right back up where you left off. It's
Right.
not like... The Facebook app is just a link, and it takes you there, but it's not actually the web page that you should be on.
Correct.
So, it's
and I know that's what I do. I listen in the car. I listen to several pods. That's what I now do when I'm driving to and from work. And I know that I stop when I get to work and I listen to it back in the car. And so it always picks up exactly where I left off.
Yep.
So I never have to restart it and it never shuts off.
Right.
So which is fantastic.
Right.
Because, I have to get my weekly fill of all the drag queens that I listen to.
Right.
Well, shout out to Jinx Monsoon, Trixie and Katya.
Yes.
Raja and Delta. And
all the queens.
I've just now gotten into the race chasers with Willem and Alaska.
Okay.
Because they're freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
So, if you're listening to our podcast, I just have to say thank you because there are literally millions of podcasts out there.
Right.
And so we appreciate you listening. Yeah. And, so thanks. And again, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all those good things.
Send me hate mail. Still none.
Right.
Maybe after this episode I'll get some.
So today, though, we are actually going to start out on a pretty serious topic.
We are. So there has been a lot of controversy, and it's been going on forever. But it's about trans athletes participating in the sports of their gender. So trans women playing with women, trans men playing with men. The current nonsense is about a swimmer who is a trans
nonsense,
woman.
by the way, is exactly the right way.
It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. And a trans woman who is a swimmer, and people are throwing a fit. But people throw a fit every single time, okay? So we're just going to discuss this for a minute. So number one, people like to say that trans women...
Well, why don't you start with her story? What exactly is her story?
So her name, I believe, is Leah Thomas. She is a trans swimmer, and she left school for 2 years to transition, and then come back to enroll in school, to then become a swimmer, right?
Okay.
Within the women's division. And she left school because she transitioned. You have to make sure that you have, regulated hormones, because the NCAA is the one who, they're the one who approved it, right? So it's not like she's just some rogue person. Like, the NCAA is what accepted her. They had to regulate her, right? They have their own rules, and they have to follow them. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like she has some crazy level of testosterone and can swim 1,000 miles in a minute. It's nothing insane. But people are throwing a fit because it's unfair. Because, quote, unquote, men shouldn't be swimming with women. Men shouldn't play women's sports. That's all problematic within itself. And so first of all, when you we're going to start with, like, the language, right? When you consider trans women to be biological men, that's violence against trans women, right? Like, trans women are women. You can say trans women are, they were assigned male at birth. But women are women. Trans women are women. And if you need to talk about the difference between women, the correct way to do it is to talk about trans women and cis women. Cisgendered women are just women who were assigned female at birth and feel like they're a woman. That's a cis woman. It's just every other woman, right?
Absolutely.
So if you need to talk about it, but here's the thing: you shouldn't need to talk about other people's gender. No. What's the point? You're not their doctor.
Well, that's what I've always said. Unless you're in their pants, or you're their doctor,
then who cares?
Then it's none of your business.
Exactly. Also,
because really, how on earth could it be your business? Do you check out every other friend in your friend circle?
No.
Or every other, celebrity or athlete? Do you go, I need to know what's in their pants before I can...
Well, clearly people do, though. Clearly people do. And, like... Oh, my God, that dog.
All right, hang on just a second. I'm going to pause for just a second. We'll be right back. Sorry, we had a little moment there because I forgot to put the dogs away and they were starting to whine. And
oh, my God.
God knows what would happen. They might see a cat and freak out. So anyway.
So when you talk about difference of people, use correct terminology. And, like, if you're going to talk about elevated levels of testosterone, then say that. And if you need to talk about reproductive biology, then say that. It's not about this... Your genitalia doesn't affect your performance in a sport.
Doesn't it?
No, unless you're
aren't you more, like, aerodynamic with different genitalia?
I'm not a scientist, so I'm not really sure, and I haven't studied genitalia at length, but I can tell you.
Oh, unfortunate choice of words.
Anyway, so another point that is made often is excluding trans girls is to protect girls' sports in general. And so then my question is, how do you identify someone as trans? Because you have to at that point. And so then it becomes an accusation. So there's girls playing sports. You see a girl who her musculature is different. She is bigger than everyone. She's faster. She's stronger. She walks differently. She has different mannerisms. And you say, I think that one's a trans girl. And then what they have to do is you have to be checked. Then there's ways in which they do that. One of that is check genitalia. Obviously, I'm assuming it's done by a doctor, not just by parents or school staff. Or
either way, that's horrific.
So this is a child.
Whether it's the coach, whether it's whoever, it's disgusting, and it's also very disturbing for these children.
Yeah, so it's very disturbing. Can you imagine? You are a trans child, and now adults are trying to get you naked to look at your genitalia. To me, and y'all are worried, and all these
your dysphoria isn't already problematic.
You already feel insane, and you feel like you're not in the right body, and then all these adults are looking at you naked. And this is the thing: cisgendered heterosexual people want to say queer people are the weird ones, but you are literally looking at naked children to see if they can play a specific sport. That is the weirdest flex.
Well, that's just it. For years now, it's been this obsession with what is in a child's penis. Right. And exactly. It's like the bathroom bills, all of this shit. And I told you that law, and you know this anyway, but the law was passed in Florida that to participate in school sports, you have to participate in the sport with the group
of your birth
with what
sex.
Is on your birth certificate. Yeah, with whatever you were identified at birth. Well, so you want to talk about that's going to cause some problems. So you're going to let this young man play on who is a young trans man play on a team of girls, and you don't think that's going to be weird or cause problems? I mean, I think what it'll do is it'll just make trans children not want to play sports, which I don't blame them.
But if you're good, and here's the thing: if you are an athlete who is trans and you're good at it and you like it, which happens, then what? Then you have to lose your favorite thing and your hobby, or
you're othered for the rest of your school
And what
days.
is the percentage of trans kids and people already committing suicide? Honestly. And so now we're going to subject them to hormone testing, genetic testing, genital,
and that's just it, too. There was that athlete who was assigned female at birth, who was still, identified as female, who, and I don't remember her name, but she looked too manly because she was very masculine in her form. God knows I've never seen a masculine woman in all my years in a gay bar.
No.
So it's like, so you're going to tell this woman, who, by the way, fits all of your criteria, but she looks suspiciously like she might have too many male hormones. She probably shouldn't participate either.
Right.
It's such bullshit, and it's such gatekeeping. It's like, mind your business, stay in your lane.
Well,
and it's not, from what it's not the other athletes who are freaking out.
No. And I was going to tap in on this, talking about like Serena Williams. So a lot of times, because she has muscle, and she is a strong athlete, and she's an amazing athlete, and she could beat everybody. She is, people have always masculinized her, made her seem like she has no femininity, and she's less of a woman because she is like a strong athlete. Well, and that's also, how much is that tying to racism? Do you know what I mean? We're going to call the black woman who's a good athlete a man, right? Like, it's degrading and it's disrespectful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, and it's like the whole thing of, well, she's just not feminine. Right. She's not your idea of feminine because she can kick your ass.
Oh, 100%. And, and like, this is in the same vein, but a few years ago, she was, I don't know what they're called, the French Open, I think is what it was, and she got upset, and she was, like, penalized by the referee for getting upset. Yeah, there's, like, clips of...
And she didn't even do anything.
No, she just got mad. She got
made
upset.
a comment.
Yeah, but there's clips of white male tennis stars smashing their rackets and cussing out refs and getting no infraction.
Right. Well, they're white.
Because
and they're
she has 2 strikes against her. She's black and she's a woman. Okay, so like
already now she says something, and so now she's in trouble.
Yes.
I mean, this is going back years, but I remember time and time again John McEnroe just literally smashing his tennis racket, screaming at the refs,
umpire, whatever.
The umpire.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. The vampires,
the dude,
who does the
it's
things.
like whoever.
Right.
But it's like, literally, he would be screaming and shouting and breaking things and stuff, and people were like, oh, it's just him. What?
Right, exactly.
So, if you're going to penalize this young woman for whatever, then everybody should live up to that exact same standard.
But no. And why should the young black woman be the... Why should you just... You know what I mean? Like, why is it like, oh, we're going to treat her so much harsher? That doesn't make any... It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and the other thing about that, though this is not the point, is the young woman who is playing against her now, by default, wins that match.
Yes.
And so it's like, this is your victory? It's like, how would you feel to be that woman? It's like, well, you won against, Was the top, Serena or Venus?
I believe it was Serena.
Serena.
Like the top female tennis
You won
star.
against her. It's like, well, by default.
Yeah.
It's like, she maybe would have won if you'd have just let the game go. It's like, the whole thing is just messed up.
Girl, and like, you're just, at that point, you're trying to pit women against each other.
Absolutely.
And that's just ugly.
Absolutely.
So basically, going back to trans athletes, when you talk about, oh, I need to test you because you seem more masculine or whatever, it not only demonizes, but you're weaponizing transness, right? You're saying, I'm accusing you of being different than everybody else, right? You're saying that you're something that you're not. And I need to now look at you naked. I need to take some of your blood, and I need to do genetic testing and hormone testing on a child.
Well, really, when it's just as easy as throw them in the water. If they sink, clearly...
Girl!
Oh, wait, no, that's witches.
Right, exactly.
It feels the same to me.
100%.
It feels like the whole... Well, they're different. We don't like how... Let's other them in such a way that they're going to be demonized by society.
Yep.
And this, by the way, isn't new, because back in the 70s, Renee Richards, who was a tennis player, right? She... the trans woman.
Yep.
When she wanted to compete, everyone was like, well, she can't compete. She's not a woman, she's a man. And it's like, no, she's a woman who happens to be trans.
That's it.
And yes, she played tennis prior to transition.
Yep.
But so what?
Right. And there's a lot of factors that people don't take into consideration. All of these people who have anything to say about trans athletes doing anything have no idea, have done zero research about what hormones do to your body, about what hormone blockers do to your body, about how you don't produce any, you lose muscle mass, how the fat in your body redistributes, how all of these things happen. So it's not like a cisgendered man playing against a woman. A trans woman has typically taken hormones. And for a lot of, specifically professional sports, again, you have to be regulated. So if a trans person is playing in the Olympics or a professional sport, they have been regulated, meaning like they have gone through hormone therapy. Their hormones are at the limit of what
Right.
a cisgendered woman's